Hey everyone, welcome back to MOVIEidol. So I want to talk about all of those reports out there right now that The Walking Dead apparently is going to be ending with season 12. Now, I heard these reports a couple days ago, but I just figured I would just ignore it because you always hear stuff like this about the show. You always hear that it's going to end at this point or at that point. It's going to end after this season. There was a report earlier this summer where it was like season 10 was going to be the final season, and that ended up being wrong. The difference here is that more people are reporting on it, and I don't really know if that makes it that much of a difference. I'll leave a link to the article down below. I think We Got This Covered originally reported this news, but I got it from nme.com. I'll leave a link down below if you want to read the article. They go into all the details and all that, but that's essentially what they're saying, though, is that season 12 is going to be the final season. And now, do I believe these reports? Personally, I don't really believe them. I think if you're a fan of the comics, or at least you know of them, and I think if you just kind of translated the comic material to the show, yeah, season 12 is probably the last season. If they could stretch it out, it would be the last season of comic material, right? At least part of it. And they might go into some original material. Season 11 will probably be the last of it, I would say. It's like end of season 11, early season 12. I think they would run out of comic material. Around there, it could be season 12. The point is, yeah, around that point, the show would run out of comic material. It would be into original material. And so I think most people would just come to the conclusion, yeah, the show's going to end in season 12. I just overall really don't believe it. I don't think the show's going to end in season 12. I think they're going to go on for a lot longer, just because when you think of what Angela Kang and all of them were saying earlier this summer, they made it seem like the show, like they were just far from over. Now, it is possible, though. I will say that it is possible that the show is ending in season 12, that maybe when they were saying that The Walking Dead has a lot of life in it, maybe they were just referring to the Walking Dead brand and not the show, right? Like, that is definitely very, very possible. The Walking Dead's future might actually be with the Rick Grimes movies. It might be in making movies like that, starting new spin-offs and etc. It might not be with this television show, because the show, I mean, they're on their 10th season at this point, right? It's not like if the show wanted to end in like the next year or two, or with season 12, that makes a lot of sense. And we'll talk about that in a second, like whether or not it makes sense that the show would end, and some other maybe, I guess, possible evidence that hints the show might end in season 12. But overall, do I believe this report? Personally, I don't really as of now, just because earlier in the summer we got a lot of reports from other people and ended up just being complete bullshit. So we'll see. Obviously, like we might find out at some point that it'll end up being true, but as of now, I'm just, we'll find out. And so would it make sense for the show to end? Like that would be my question for you guys, I guess. And I guess sort of the topic of this video is, does it make sense for the show to end in season 12? And is that a smart decision? I am okay if the show ends in season 12, but I'm also okay if it doesn't end in season 12. You know what I mean? As long as we're going to get movies and all that kind of stuff afterwards, and they have a plan to give us other content, and we'll talk about the comics in a second with what happens at the end of the comics and how that can relate to the show and possible spin-offs in the future. But if they went into that, I really am totally okay with it, because the show at this point, I'm really, really enjoying it, and I want them to go on for a few more seasons. I'm definitely not like over with it yet, but you don't want them to run the show into the ground. You don't want it to go on for 20 seasons or 15, 16, 17, 18 seasons. If they wanted to go on for 14, 15 seasons, something like that, I'm okay with that. But season 12, if that's where they wanted to end it, if we have more shows and stuff afterwards, movies, obviously we have these 3 Rick Grimes movies, yeah, you know what? I'm okay with it. Now, some more evidence, and I don't know if it's really evidence, and I could have these contracts wrong, so just like, yeah, don't quote me on all of this, but from what I remember, Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride signed 3-year contracts with AMC that basically meant that they could be, I guess, in spin-off shows, movies, and on a television show. It was something like that. I don't remember the exact details, but it was reported. I'm sure you can find articles about it online and all that. And it was for 3 years. Now, I don't know if that was including season 9. I don't think it was, because I think they signed on to it during season 9. So that could have been for season 10, 11, and 12. So like that could fit into all of this. And also, I think one important factor is that the ratings are dropping. I will do a ratings video probably, I don't even know, maybe I'll do it in December or January, but I might just wait until the end of season 10, just because I don't know if the ratings really matter at this point. Like last year, it was interesting to talk about it because Rick left. We wanted to see if the ratings would continue or maintain or whatever after Rick left, and they did for the most part. Season 10 it dropped a little bit, but that's kind of the rate right now. I think the show is just going to constantly drop every season at this point, and that's not a knock on the show or anything like that. Like the show obviously, I think right now has amazing material. It's just, I think that's kind of the natural lifespan of a show. Like once you're on your 10th season, of course you're going to lose ratings, because not everyone will continue to watch a show for that long. And so because these ratings are dropping and all that, and I imagine The Walking Dead isn't bringing enough in as much as it used to, I could be wrong about that, I don't know. Maybe it costs too much to have these actors in and all that. Since the show is rumored to end with season 12, and because their contracts with like Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride will run out by then, how much is it going to cost them to renew them for another year or two or what have you, and what are the ratings going to be like then? You know what I mean? Like, you combine all of that, it's like, I don't know if the show can go for until season 20, to be honest. Season 12, I think, yeah, that could be the final season. I think it makes a lot more sense when you compare it, when you like kind of combine everything together. That does make sense. But then again, I don't know if this is the plan. This is just me literally just speculating. But this could factor into all of that, right? Like, this could be a possibility. Now, if it did end in season 12, what would happen to the show? What would happen to the franchise and all that? Obviously, AMC, they have their plans and all that. In my opinion, I think the show would probably end similar to the comics. Like, if that is the plan and they're going to end in season 12, it's probably going to have a comic ending, which means, and this will contain spoilers for the very final issue, and I guess spoilers for the comics, but the Commonwealth arc would be the last arc. So the arc that they're setting up right now with Eugene on the show, that's hinting at the very final arc of the show. And the show would end in a very similar way. I don't know who would die at the very end if it would, I mean, in the comic, Rick died, and obviously that meant a lot because it was Rick Grimes, right? Daryl could die. They could like make a statue of Daryl, but I don't think it doesn't really have the same impact. They could do that. They could end it differently. Who knows? Rick could come back to the show for that final season. Like, they could do something there. You know what I mean? They could really celebrate The Walking Dead if they were going to end it with season 12. If it's the final season, I mean, they better go all out with it, right? And basically the final episode would be them much older. Judith would be probably in her late 20s, early 30s or something like that. And she has a son or daughter. And it would just be focusing on that type of world, what the world is like now, and it would basically be a peaceful ending to The Walking Dead. That is roughly what would happen, and I guess the show overall would make sense. What Rick fought for ended up happening. They had a peaceful life, and they beat this world. Essentially, that's kind of the point of the show. And so at that point, what would happen? Well, Fear the Walking Dead, I mean, could still be going on. Who knows? They could end after season 6. They could be going. There's this third show that will definitely be going on for probably past that, because if the show ends with season 12, that means the show is ending in spring 2022. This third show, the new one that's coming out next year, will be on its third season. Fear the Walking Dead will be on its, eighth season, I believe? So it could be going on. The Rick movie might be coming out that year. Like, the Rick movie might be dropping in 2022. That could be when they're planning to release it. It could come out 2021. They're not filming it. There's no updates on any of that, so it doesn't seem like that movie is coming out next year for sure. And then, yeah, the future of The Walking Dead will just be in spin-offs, and it will be surrounding the main show. Like, we'll probably get a spin-off of Judith when she's much older. It'll be focused on Judith and RJ. They'll be like 30, 40 years old. We'll focus on a different Walking Dead at that point. It'll just be very, very different. And I do agree with what the AMC CEO was saying and all that The Walking Dead has a lot of life in it. Because I like to compare The Walking Dead to Star Trek in that sense. Like, Star Trek has been around since the 60s, right? And it's still going. We have a new show, Star Trek Discovery. Not a lot of people like it. I haven't checked it out. But a lot of people don't like it. I know my brother doesn't like it because it's not like New Generation and all that. And I've watched a little bit of that, and I can see there is a difference there. But the point is, overall, there are fans that will watch this stuff, right? Like, that's not going away. The Walking Dead, I think, is very, very similar to Star Trek in that way. The merchandising is insane. The world out there, the fan base, is not going away. Even if they took a break for 10 years, if they were to ever announce something like 10 years later, like, oh, we're going to make a Rick Grimes movie of, I don't even know, of anything, or a Daryl Dixon movie where he's like 60, 70 years old, and we're focusing on like this Daryl spinoff and what life's like for him because he left Alexandria, blah, blah, blah. People who watched the main show back in the day, you know, you're going to be interested in that. There definitely is going to be a fan base for that. I'll always be interested in stuff like that. So they can do a lot with The Walking Dead. I mean, if you look at Star Trek, they're bringing Picard back, right, for a new show. Imagine that in like 20 years from now, they bring Rick back or Daryl back for this short like spin-off show or something like that, right? Like, they can definitely do that. So as for whether or not this report is true, I don't really know, obviously. In my opinion, like, it makes sense that it could be true, but I feel like I don't know how much I trust the reporting on it. You know what I mean? We'll have to wait and see, obviously, but there's definitely a possibility. And as of now, it's just kind of, yeah, I guess we'll find out. Unless AMC comes out and says, no, that's not true, then we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But as of now, I'm really enjoying season 10. I really can't wait for the mid-season finale this Sunday. Next year's going to be really insane with Michonne's departure, with Maggie coming back, the end of The Whisperer, some Commonwealth stuff. I'm looking forward to The Walking Dead. I really am. I can't wait for that third show too. I'm actually kind of excited for that. I'm worried about it in certain aspects because they're focusing on kids and stuff like that in the apocalypse, but I'm still interested because it's a brand new show. There's going to be new characters, a new story. There's no baggage of like stuff from the old shows or old seasons. It can set a new tone, start something brand new. And yeah, I'm excited for that third show. As for Fear the Walking Dead, well, We'll have to see. I don't know. With Fear the Walking Dead at this point, I'm just kind of, we'll see what they do with that anyways. I definitely don't want the show to outlive The Walking Dead. That's kind of like my biggest fear right now. Well, obviously not biggest fear, but could you imagine that if The Walking Dead ended and Fear the Walking Dead is still going? When all of us thought Fear the Walking Dead was going to end in season 4 or 5 or something like that, it just somehow passed The Walking Dead, or I guess wouldn't pass it, but outlived it in that sense, right? But yeah, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see, but make sure you guys post your thoughts down below. Let me know what you guys think about all of this stuff. Do you think The Walking Dead is going to end in season 12? Do you think it makes sense? How much do you believe all this reporting? Again, I'll leave a link down below to the actual article where I got this information. I think they're reporting on stuff made by We Got This Covered, but yeah, they explain it in that article. You can go read it if you want. But let me know what you guys think down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for my Q&A coming out tomorrow, and thanks for watching.